I'm Fiona Caben and we're here with our first Double J Quarter Horses Mare Power Matters interview. Welcome. Congratulations, Cara Brewer, 2021 NCHA Reserve Futurity Champion.
Thank you.
It's exciting to have you. So tell us your story, Cara. Where are you from and how did you get into cutting?
I live in Northeast Oklahoma now, but I was lucky enough to grow up in cutting. My parents showed when I was younger, and so I just kind of came up through the ranks. But I live in Northeast Oklahoma. I originally was from Illinois, Northern Illinois, where it's a lot colder. So it's kind of nice to have moved south and be a little bit warmer in the winter.
And tell us about these two special mares.
These two mares we raised here on the ranch, and I raised Tell It Like It Is, and Jim Hayworth raised Tagging, which she's the full sister to Hashtags and Tagline and a few others. But I also manage his breeding program and his training and everything. We do everything here, from all the way from halter breaking to all the way. I do have a really good friend of mine that starts them for about 90 days, and she gets them where I'm not going to get killed. So that's always nice.
That's very nice. It's always handy.
A very good friend.
So coming into those Futurity finals runs, like, you look so composed. Do you have a certain mindset that you go in there with, like, approach, or what was the story going into that final?
Both those mares throughout all four goes were just extremely confident feeling. And the Tell It Like It Is mare, she was a little wild to train, but from the get-go, as soon as I put my hand down the first go, she just felt like she had come to the party. So I knew if we had them prepared correctly, that they were going to do their job. And by the finals, I think we were just so used to it that we're like, oh, we drew last again. Yeah. Okay.
And being a horse trainer is not the easiest occupation. What keeps you going with the daily grind and with those tricky horses?
I've always loved the horses, so I don't mind the work, and I don't mind, the ups and downs have always been there, and we've had really good friends and mentors that have kind of, always come up and said, when I first started training, I turned my amateur card in because back when I was in the youth or coming out of the youth, when you were turned 21, you had to own your own horse and you couldn't share your parents' horses. And so my parents were like, well, we will share, but you're going to have to, turn your card in because we're not going to give you anything. And wonderful parents. So I just decided to turn my card in, and Paul Hansma, he walked up to me and he's like, so turn your card in, huh? And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's like, good. We need more women trainers. I was like, okay, thank you. But he's been great, and that was, 15, 20 years ago. And he's been great. There's been a lot of really, really good support throughout my career, including John. So I was super happy that he did great. John has always been really good to me too.
Yeah. So who are some of your mentors that have helped you along the way?
I've had a lot of support from my husband, and he trained for a long time, and he is in the cattle business now. That's his love. So he ranches now, and I've taken over the department. And then I've had a lot of support from my family. I've had a lot of support from Tommy Marvin, who's really good friends, and he's always in our corner. We have a lot of friends, but as far as the trainers, Craig Morris was there in the beginning, and Lindy Birch has recently, I've become friends with Lindy Birch, and God puts people in our paths just when we need them. She was actually, we kept drawing last, so she would go and watch cattle with us, and she would kind of help spot the cattle since we were so deep, and it was a lot easier to find them a lot quicker. Sean Flynn has been there. Russ Westfall, Morgan Cromer's been a lot of help. It's been great because I feel like the cutting world is very supportive. From my Corinne and James and Nadine Payne, it's been great. And not just in the past, but and I guess I hadn't told you guys this, but Tell It Like It Is, which we call her Dottie. my son named her when he was a little baby and she was a baby. So it was real creative. But so after I came out, she was trying to tie up, and I couldn't really do anything about it because we were up in two horses, and that mare has the biggest heart. For her to do what she did and not feel very good just proves that. But Mark Lavender, he jumped the fence, and because he could see that something wasn't right and I couldn't get to her. So he said, "Hey, I've got this. You go and finish, go show your other mare, and I've got this. Don't worry about her." So he took care of her until I could get out and got a vet, and everything's fine. That just shows the support of the cutting world, that we're all friends and we're all going to try to take care and cheer for each other and help each other out.
That's a pretty special story.
Yeah, I hadn't told very many people that one.
Yeah.
But he's a funny man. He said, I could see that something was going wrong, so I tried to step over, and he said my wife actually pushed me over the fence, and she's like, "Get over there and help her." And he's like, "I almost pulled a groin going over the fence because my wife pushed me over the fence, hung my foot, trying to get over there." He's like, "So lucky I didn't get killed myself."
So moving forward with these two mares, what's the plan?
We're just going to keep on going on. We'll go to Abilene, and we really like going to the Arbuckle show, but life pretty much just goes back as to normal.
Yeah. And next year's Futurity, are you looking forward to that already, or where are you at with next year's crew?
Oh yeah. So like I said, Jim Hayworth, he raised tagging and hashtags, and which we sold to Tatum's people as a yearling. And then but he has a couple siblings. He's got a Rebel filly out of that mare, and yeah, we look forward to all of it. I enjoy, the breeding part. I enjoy the foaling out. That mare, she has had every color you could possibly think of, and none of them look the same. None of them act the same. They just all want to cut, which is a very good trait. So about this time of year, we're like, ooh, it's about time to see what we're going to have.
Yeah. So obviously this is for Mare Power Mapping, like how important, what's your breeding program like when it comes to looking at that mare side?
No, I think it's a lot. I think it's a huge part, and finding the right cross is also is important. And the breeding, it takes forever to get them on the ground and get them trained. And if they work out or if they don't work out, it's just a huge part. But as far as Dual Ray Tag, like I showed her mother in one of the Super Stakes. I showed Play and Tag's mother in the youth some. So we go way back. And then on Tell It Like It Is, her mother, I had a Pepto stud the year that I was pregnant, and I made the semifinals on the Futurity, and maybe it was second or third at Arbuckle, and I loved him. I didn't get to show him very much because he got through a sale. I bought her, and we've raised babies out of her, and this is one of her last. I think she has one more year of 2-year-olds. And this mare, she had a pretty cute story. Dottie Roan, she, my son, we had a mare have a baby and got hurt. And so we had to put her down, and we raised the baby, and he named her Baby, which, like I said, he was 3 or 4. So our names are not very creative.
Yeah.
So Baby ends up being trained, and she was a metallic cat, and I had to, be an adult and sell her and pay bills. And he had a coma parts when he found out we were selling her. And he's like, "What do you mean? You can't sell her." Like, I thought he was going to kill the deal. So like 6 weeks and 2 months go through, and he's like, "Oh, I miss her." And I was like, oh my gosh. So I had this little Roan filly, and I'm like, "Here, you can have this one. You can have her. It's fine. Just please stop crying." And he's like, "Okay." So, I didn't ever realize that she would go on to become one of my best 2-year-olds. And so she does. And it takes us, we kept trying to trade him out of her. And he'd be like, "Well, I want this." And I'd be like, "I'll trade you Dottie Roan." He'd be like, "No." And like we had customers trying to, I mean, we tried puppies and we tried goats and we tried everything. And then one day, he's like, I really want a border collie to work my goats. I'm like, I'll trade you Dottie Roan. He's like, okay. So I was like, okay, well, we'll mark it down. He's like, and he said, I want a dog. I want a Nerf gun. I want a wither goat. I want a phone, which I said no. And and he's like, and how much cash you got? And I was like, $3. So negotiator. So like we had to write it down and everything, so he couldn't back out. So we did that, and I was kind of proud of the deal because I was pretty proud of Dottie Roan. And we were at a pre-work, and Kobe Woods was in there, and I said, "Hey, Brand, you need to tell him, you traded for a border collie pup." And so he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a border collie pup to work my goats." And Kobe was like, "You don't want a puppy?" He's like, "Do you know how long? And what if it doesn't work? You want a trained dog?" And he looked at me and he's like, "I want to train one." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Kobe. Appreciate that." So we ended up having to get a trained border collie in on that deal. But and he wanted ninja lessons, which is ended up being karate lessons, which I'm still taking him to karate 3 times a week.
You're paying for this a long time down the track.
It's a long her off.
But it's been definitely a good story.
Yep. And she, I sold her to a customer that would leave her here, and she'll go into his broodmare barn, and it'll be great. Yeah. We'll ride out of tagging and Dottie for forever. We'll just keep on going.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a great story, and there's no doubt that the work and negotiation that's all fallen into place to come together.
Yeah. He always looks at me and he's like, "You're welcome." Yeah. It wasn't that bad.
No, fair enough. Well, congratulations again. I mean, we wish you all the best in the future, and we look forward to watching you again next year.
Thank you for everything. I wanted to congratulate Johnny because they raised that mare too, and story for as long as we've been in it, and how much we appreciate those mares that not only go on and show well for us, but they produce for us too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's no doubt, obviously, Johnny was probably a bit of an Australian favourite. I think half of Australia was sitting watching the webcast.
I know. He's not only Australian favorite, but he's also a fan favorite. There's a lot of people that love Johnny.
You could hear that by the crowd.
Oh, yeah. All of us were.
That's excellent. Well, like we said, congratulations, and thank you for being part of Mare Power Matters, and we'll hope to catch up with you again soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Cara, so much.